All right, let's get right into this. Today, we're diving into an incredibly personal and data-heavy journal that tracks a man's radical 14-week transformation. And this isn't just another diet story, believe me. It's a tale of science, spirit, and the total reinvention of a man who decided to face his own personal apocalypse head-on.
And this is where it all begins. No filters, no sugarcoating, nothing. This is Steve, in his own words, on day one. He's 57, overweight, dealing with high blood pressure and chronic psoriasis. You really get this picture of a man who just felt stuck, whose spirit animal was the sloth. And that raw honesty is exactly what makes this whole thing so powerful. So what was the actual mission here? Well, it was to lose 42 pounds. That's like the weight of 7 bricks in just 18 weeks. But he wasn't just trying to get thinner. He was trying to climb a mountain. He wanted to go from a state of chronic illness to one of clear, vibrant health. The goal was huge, maybe even a little scary, but it was crystal clear. He actually called this first phase the Apocalypse of Now. And honestly, what a fitting title. This wasn't going to be some gentle, gradual change. Nope. This was a full-scale demolition of his old self to clear the way for something entirely new. And here was the initial battle plan. On paper, it looks so clean, so scientific, right? He's got his tool, a medication called Mounjaro. He's got his method, a really strict 1,500-calorie diet, and he's got his target, lose 2.5 pounds a week. It all seemed like a pretty straightforward math problem. But as we're about to see, the reality was anything but. Yeah, his body's rebellion was immediate, and it was severe. Within just a few days, the side effects of the medication hit him like a truck. This was not a gentle adjustment, it was a physical siege. You can see this cascade of problems, everything from bloating and constipation to this crippling nausea that made eating just almost impossible. I mean, on some days, he could barely choke down 600 calories. The clean, scientific plan was meeting a very, very messy biological reality.
I mean, wow. It really doesn't get more visceral than that, does it? This quote just perfectly captures the absolute physical misery he was in during those first few weeks. It shows you that this journey wasn't just about discipline. It was about enduring some profound discomfort and just pushing through these moments where it literally felt like his body was fighting him every step of the way.
So, this brings us to the next chapter, battling the body. After somehow surviving that initial shock to the system, Steve had to adapt. He needed a whole new strategy to deal with a body that was in open revolt.
The next huge roadblock was a total system crash. Sure, he was losing weight, but it was coming at a massive cost. By lunchtime on his workdays, he was completely wiped out, physically and mentally. He describes feeling dog-tired and unmotivated, and he was getting these mysterious aches in his back and sides that were so bad he needed painkillers just to finish a shift. Burnout was a very real threat here. But he didn't give up. No way. Instead, he turned to his new greatest weapon, data. He used his tracking apps, he consulted with his AI assistant, and he analyzed the problem. And he realized something crucial. His body wasn't just in a calorie deficit, it was in a full-blown fuel crisis. His muscles were just running on fumes by midday. So the solution wasn't to restrict even more, it was to fuel smarter. And just look at the difference here. He strategically bumped up his calories and nearly doubled his carbohydrate intake, but specifically on workdays. This was a huge pivot from a mindset of pure restriction to one of active fueling. It was a calculated risk, right? I mean, could he actually eat more and still lose weight? Well, the result was a complete game changer. He was able to power through his entire day.
So, did this data-driven adaptation actually work? Oh, yeah. The first staggering result of this brand new strategy was a loss of 20 pounds.
But that wasn't even all of it. An incredible 6 inches just vanished from his waist. And here's the absolute kicker. He pulled all of this off in just 1 month. That's nearly half of his entire weight loss goal done in a fraction of the time he had planned. This was undeniable proof that his new, adaptive, scientific approach was working beyond his wildest dreams. But as the physical battles started to stabilize, an even more important one was happening internally. He realized he needed more than just data and diet plans. He needed to forge a whole new mindset, a kind of philosophy of resilience to keep this incredible transformation going. He basically figured out that a new body needs a new operating system for the mind. And for that, he turned to some real heavy hitters,
looking for wisdom on destruction, on rebirth, and on self-mastery. He dove into Hindu mythology, into Nietzsche's philosophy of the self-overcoming overman, and even into these esoteric lectures on yoga. This wasn't just a distraction, it was essential spiritual nourishment. This quote, which actually came from a conversation he was having with his AI assistant, this marks the core philosophical shift of the entire journey. It's such a profound way to reframe it. He stopped seeing this as a process of subtraction, of losing weight, and started seeing it as a process of creation. He wasn't reducing himself, he was recomposing his entire being.
And this became his new mantra. It's the perfect summary of his new identity. It's not about having some rigid, unbreakable plan. It's about this continuous loop of learning from the data, adapting the strategy, and just moving forward. It's a philosophy of resilience built right on top of his changing body.
And all of this leads to the final act, the emergence of a totally new identity, one built on a foundation of discipline, data, and a deep, deep sense of personal control. This is the arrival of the self-managed man. And here he is, the visual culmination of those 14 weeks of struggle, adaptation, and growth. This is the after picture, a real testament to the radical change he orchestrated in his own life. The resurrection is complete.
Okay, let's just break down the final victory because the numbers here are absolutely stunning. He lost 32 pounds. He dropped 10 inches from his waist. His BMI went from overweight all the way to healthy. But seriously, look beyond the weight. His chronic psoriasis, gone, cleared. His blood pressure meds, he's already dropped one of them. This was never just about weight loss. It was a total health revolution. For me, this is the most powerful takeaway of the whole story. He recognizes that this isn't about hitting some finish line and then just stopping. The process itself has fundamentally changed who he is. The healthy habits, the discipline, the self-awareness, that's not a chore anymore. That is simply who he is now. So we end on this. Steve's journey gives us a really powerful blueprint, using modern science to reconstruct the physical and timeless wisdom to sustain the spiritual. It's an incredible story of self-management and transformation, and it leaves us with a pretty fascinating question to ask ourselves.